Gecko Maria sailed the seas on the largest known ship with an undead army, but he is the Fallen. He is the only warlord who was personally kicked out of the system for the sole reason that he caught too many L's. The downfall is insane, to be honest. It's hard to believe that this is the same man who was once considered Kaido's rival because we've literally only seen Gecko Maria catch L's. The thing about One Piece is that you get weaker once your will is broken. What happened to Crocodile also happened to Maria. He lost his vigor and became an empty shell of his former self. He used the power of his Shadow Fruit to create an undead army so that he never has to go through the experience of losing his crew ever again. The Shadow Fruit allows the user to steal other people's shadow and put them into different bodies. This is how Maria was able to revive Zoro's ancestor Ryuma, the legendary god of the blade. This is also how Maria revived Ors, the continent puller from 500 years ago. Unfortunately, the Straw Hats destroyed his undead army and he was then hunted down by Doflamingo during Marineford. He was officially stripped of his position as a warlord during a war. It doesn't get any lower than this. As a warlord, Maria embodied the ultimate L, but he really was an exceptional pirate in his early days considering how he had a bounty worth 320 million berries. Edward Weevil is the self-proclaimed son of Whitebeard. He has crazy strength but a childlike mind, and he is easily misled by his greedy mother. In the context of the Seven Warlords, if Gecko Maria is the Fallen, Edward Weevil is the naive. He is just a naive little mama's boy without a proper will of his own. But he is strong. He is very likely stronger than Doflamingo, and considering how he has been implied to be Whitebeard's son, or at the very least his clone, Weevil may even show as Conqueror's Haki. His bounty before being chosen as a warlord was 480 million berries. The one thing I'd give him is his innocence. He is simple-minded, which is shown by how he pulled up to protect Sphinx Island. The last time we heard about him was in chapter 1073. He was defeated and taken captive by Admiral Greenbull. Of course, he will eventually be relevant, but guys, we're only judging the warlords on their tenure as warlords. Anything they are going to do after the abolishment of the warlord system doesn't count in the context of this video. Buggy the Genius Jester is the only other pirate who can rival Luffy and Zoro when it comes to dumb, unfiltered luck. In fact, his luck factor may very well be over 9,000. That's why he is the lucky. Sure, if you're talking power scaling, then Buggy is by far the weakest, but if you judge him on his tenure as a warlord, and especially on his luck, you'll see that he is the only pirate other than Blackbeard who made the most out of it. In chapter 803, we see that he conveniently took over as the underground broker after Doflamingo's downfall, and although things went south after the system was abolished, Buggy only ever experienced highs as a warlord. He also has the greatest pedigree out of all the warlords because he sailed with the Pirate King, rivaled Whitebeard, and is basically like a brother to Red Hair Shanks. So yes, even though Buggy doesn't have Haki and he isn't a dangerous devil fruit user, his pedigree and underground business, not to mention the charisma that allowed him to recruit Impel Down prisoners. Sir Crocodile ran a secret criminal organization from a powerful nation while simultaneously posing as a hero to the people of that nation. He is the Dawn. He destroyed up-and-coming pirates while planting the seeds for political dissent in a nation like Alabasta, and he did it all just to somehow get his hands on an ancient weapon. I'd say if he wasn't defeated by a Haki-less Luffy, Crocodile could have easily been so much stronger in the eyes of power scalers. By the way, Crocodile's bounty before becoming a warlord is 81 million, but his bounty as the secret criminal boss Mr. O is 150 million. Those are big numbers considering how Luffy only got 100 million even after defeating Crocodile. Crocodile also shares similarities with Gecko Maria in the sense that both of them were defeated by emperors, and both of them had to find something other than their own strength to eventually aim for the title of the Pirate King once again. But what gives Crocodile an edge over Maria is how intelligent and cunning he is. If it weren't for the Straw Hats, Crocodile would have become the king of Alabasta. And you bet, even though the world government fired Maria, they would have never let go of a cunning little fox like Crocodile. Trafalgar D. Waterlaw strategically became a warlord to bring about Doflamingo's downfall. He is the Mastermind. His bounty before becoming a warlord was 440 million, and the reason why he gained the title is because he masterminded the Rocky Port incident and gave the world government the hearts of 100 pirates. It was hardcore, but we all know that becoming a warlord was just a means to an end. Law did it to destroy Doflamingo. Ultimately, the reason why I've put Law over warlords like Buggy and Crocodile is because because although he was a lone wolf, he is a D, as well as the user of the ultimate Paramecia Devil Fruit. Just having him on their side was a tremendous advantage for the world government. Jinbei became a warlord after taking over as the new captain of the Sun Pirates. He was offered to become a warlord and he accepted because that had improved the diplomatic relations between the government and the fishmen. He is the knight. His bounty before becoming a warlord was 250 million berries. He is a master of fishman karate and quite proficient in both armament and observation haki. And more importantly, he was kind of like an honorary member of Whitebeard's crew. Again, this is all from when he was still a warlord. By the time Luffy meets him, Jinbei has already resigned. Hanafuda is the warlord whom Ace defeated 2 years before Luffy set out to the seas. And although he hasn't even been introduced properly in the actual story, let me tell you exactly how much of a badass this guy was. In the context of the Seven Warlords, he is the hunter. He collected ancient Zoan devil fruits and sold them to Kaido. Yes, while Doflamingo gave Kaido some half-assed Walmart edition Zoan devil fruits like the Smiles, Hanafuda was selling Kaido genuine ancient Zoan devil fruits. The All-Stars and Tobiropo have ancient Zoan devil fruits thanks to Hanafuda. Naturally, he didn't just find those ancient devil fruits at a bar. He must have had to fight the previous users of those fruits to get them. This means that Hanafuda is much stronger than we think. He was in the New World and he hunted ancient Zoan devil fruit users. Plus, considering how we have yet to see an ancient Zoan devil fruit user based on the T-Rex, there is a genuine possibility that Hanafuda himself had an ancient Zoan, and it may very well have been Dino fruit model T-Rex, because we didn't see an ancient Zoan like that in Kaido's crew. Boa Hancock is the queen of the kingdom of women that lies in the calm Bet. As the pirate Empress, she is hailed as the most beautiful woman on the seas. She is the beloved. There was always a strategic advantage to the world government having her around as a warlord because this meant that Amazon Lily fell in line with the world's status quo. Not to mention, Boa is a conqueror's haki user, the most beautiful woman in the world, and also someone whose devil fruit literally gives her hacks. Seriously though, as long as you find her attractive, she can turn you into stone. And let's be real, the number of people who aren't seduced by her are likely less than conqueror haki users. Still, she couldn't care less about the government and went out of her way to shelter and escort Monkey D. Luffy. We all know that Luffy is going to destroy the status quo in the absolute best way possible, which means that although Boa was a strategic asset, she was about as much of a double-edged sword as she could theoretically be. Blackbeard is a lot of things. He is an imposter, a betrayer, a dreamer, and a survivor. But as far as being a warlord goes, he was the opportunist. The thing about Blackbeard is that he also used his status as a warlord to suit his own agenda, but he became a warlord and resigned within weeks. He did recruitment at Impel Down, took Whitebeard's fruit, and declared himself as the king of the new age. But it's not even about that. It's about how this man was responsible for causing the biggest war since the Great Pirate Era started. When Blackbeard captured Ace, he knew exactly how deadly it would get. He didn't care. He wanted the smoke, and you bet he enjoyed it. Ultimately, even though he quit less than a month after becoming a warlord, the very fact that he was responsible for causing the biggest war since the beginning of the Great Pirate Era is already more than what the majority of other warlords were able to accomplish. Mihawk is the strongest swordsman in the world, and so in the context of warlords, we're going to refer to him as the strongest. I mean, if this was a power scaling video, then Mihawk would unquestionably be at the top, because this man is strong enough to rival an emperor of the seas. Even right now as I say this, there are Shanks and Mihawk fans arguing about who is stronger. But the thing is, Mihawk is about as neutral as it gets. He was just screwing around at Marineford. He doesn't care. He is indifferent. This actually goes against the idea of a warlord, but from the government's point of view, just having Mihawk as a warlord was like winning a lottery because they neutralize him as a threat. Remember, Mihawk used to hunt Marines in his early days. Bartholomew Kuma replaced Hanafuda, but the difference between him and literally every other warlord is that he became the government's dog in the truest sense of the word. He is the pawn. He let them experiment and create the Pacifista. He neutralized up-and-coming pirates as a warlord. He even gave up his own free will just so Bonnie can have a future. In a very real sense of the word, he became the perfect warlord for the government. Doflamingo was conducting trade with an emperor of the sea while also making the world government dance to his tunes. He is the demon. The level of political control he had over the New World was actually rather insane. He was also the broker of the underworld, which meant that he was literally facilitating arms trade between emperors like Kaido and the world government. If Kuma was the perfect warlord for the government, Doflamingo was the perfect warlord for the entire new world. By facilitating trade between an emperor and the world government, he stabilized the status quo. Not only did he rule a nation like Dressrosa, he was the underworld broker and also had enough dirt on the world government to blackmail them. The world government and the Marines went to war with Whitebeard over Ace, but they still let Doflamingo do as he pleased with CPO just because Doflamingo knew about the sacred treasure of Marie Jo. I'd say Doflamingo as a warlord is everything. He is a conqueror. He had great ambitions like Blackbeard. He was cunning like Crocodile, and unlike Boa Hancock, he's an actual politician. Remember guys, he still hadn't given up on becoming the Pirate King or even on getting the Eternal Youth Surgery. Doflamingo was a different kind of dog. He wanted both the Pirate King's throne and the empty throne for himself. Yes, he is not the strongest warlord, but now that it has been a long time since the abolishment of the warlord system, Doflamingo will forever be remembered as the greatest, the most notorious, and the most evil warlord in One Piece's history. Well, he was also a celestial dragon after all. Anyway, there you have it guys. These are all 12 One Piece warlords explained in 12 minutes. What do you think? Do you agree with this list or do you disagree? Come on guys, whether you agree or disagree, let us continue this conversation in the comment section down below. And if you want more juicy anime content, how about checking my video on all Megumi Shikigami ranked and explained? It's a fun little video, you're gonna love it.